Alrighty. Now, I am honored to have on Patriots Corner Podcast today former United States Marine and brother of Chris Kyle, Jeff Kyle. Jeff, what's going on, sir?
How you doing?
It's an honor to have you on the show. It's an honor to speak with you.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, well, thank you for taking the time. Now, Jeff, you have an amazing story. I watched some of your past interviews with Fox and other stations, and your story is so amazing. You come from such a patriotic, loving family, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, where did that all come from? Did you grow up in a very patriotic family as a young boy, or, is that something that came later? Or, I know you're from Texas.
Yeah, no, we were definitely raised from the get-go to be very patriotic and to honor the men and women, that went before us to make the flag stand for what it stands for. We understood that from at a young age, and we always respected the other generations that had served and were serving.
Wow. Now, and I'm the same way, and it's always an honor to speak, even to a veteran. Me speaking with you right now, but even older generations, men who fought in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, etc. So
Right.
I 100% believe in that statement as well. Now, Jeff, did you grow up playing sports? You went in later into the Marine Corps, which I want to get into that discussion a little bit later on. But did you grow up playing sports?
Yeah, yeah. I played football, mainly baseball, and then we did a lot of rodeoing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we got to get a little bit more into that then. I'm a big fan of rodeo, man. Even though I'm from New Jersey, they still have rodeos in New Jersey.
Really?
They do.
Well,
They
that's
might not
good to
be as
know.
good as they are in Texas. I'm sure they are not. But I've been out to a rodeo in Cody, Wyoming when I was a young kid. I love rodeo. So what did you do with rodeo?
I started out riding bulls, and then eventually went to saddle bronc and did some roping as well.
And where did that all come from? Just growing up in Texas, or?
Well, we were raised around cattle. We always had land and cows, and we raised our own horses, and so our dad made me and Chris break our own colts and start our own horses and train them, and so we started out doing that, and then started doing that for other people, other ranchers around, and became pretty known in the area for doing that. And it just kind of, we figured, hey, let's make some money at it, and started rodeoing.
Wow. Now, is that, do you still go out to the rodeos every once in a while, living in Texas now?
Oh, definitely, definitely, yeah. I don't participate anymore, but yeah, I definitely go out and support them.
Riding bulls, man. I'll tell you what, it's just totally badass. There's nothing like it, and it's a tough dude. You guys are tough dudes, man. Real deal cowboys from Texas. Patriotic Americans. It's that's amazing. So, where did the military? Where did the idea to join the military come from?
Um, like I said, our parents raised us to be very patriotic, and we always wanted to. I know I can remember from as far back as I can remember that that's what I wanted to do, and I guess I could say that was because of the way that we were raised, and the people that we were raised around. My dad's generation was all Vietnam guys, and so a lot of my really good friends, their dads were Vietnam, and so I always had a huge respect for those guys, and so from a young age, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be just like them, and pay my homage to the country.
Now, did your brother? Because you're younger
Mm-hmm.
than Chris, right?
Right.
Did he play any influence on joining the military and pushing you to do that, or was it just all self, patriotism that you had already?
Yeah, no, I mean, even before I really gave, two flips about what he was doing, I always wanted to be in the military, and I never wanted to be, in the same, I guess, branch or same unit as him. So I always wanted to kind of do my own thing.
Yeah. Now, what was that like going through boot camp. You know, Paris Island. I have a friend. Excuse me. I have a friend who is currently serving overseas, and you know, he has told me tons of stories of the the pain, you know, the weakness that's leaving the body at boot camp.
Right.
So what was that like for you?
Well, I wasn't in Paris Island. I was in San Diego, so I'm a Hollywood Marine.
Okay, my mistake then. But still, very Hollywood Marine. All right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it was definitely an experience. I think, I don't know that it was so much about pain. It was just, the unknown. Because I mean, the way we were raised, we definitely weren't raised, softly. So, it was kind of like being at home, just amplified just a little bit. But we both joined a little later in life, so we were a little more mature than the average soldier. So I think that gave us the upper hand as well. So we'd been out and kind of experienced life and been on our own and seen hardships and things like that on our own. So we weren't completely blindsided when we got to the military. But it was definitely an experience. It was definitely rough. Looking back on it, it's I can see how tough it was and how it changed me.
Yeah. Now, how you said you never wanted to be in the exact same branch as your or unit as your brother. Did you ever come across, and not to steer away from your story, obviously, but I have seen the movie American Sniper, and you wonder about accuracy of exactly, yes, and I do remember that specific scene. Now, not in that specific scene where they played as if you guys came across and crossed each other's paths, but did that actually ever happen?
No, never did. We were in country at the same time, but never the same location, and we never saw each other.
Okay.
So that's definitely the movie should be taken with a grain of salt.
Yes, and not to I mean, I would never want to get any or put in false light or anything, but when you say taken with a grain of salt, do you feel that the movie did not display the accurate or some of which, and then at times did not display accurate facts?
I think the way they portrayed Chris was good. I'll say that Cooper did a pretty good job, of getting Chris's heart and showing that on the big screen. But the rest of the movie was, the rest of the people that it portrayed, I'm not very happy about that. The family didn't have much to say about how the movie was written or anything like that. So I mean, it's Hollywood. They do what they do, and they portrayed the story. And I guess one thing that they did right is any family members, they could put their son, their daughter, their brother, whatever, they could put them in that position, and they could relate to the trials and tribulations of what was going on. So it kind of brought a little bit of understanding to family members that that didn't really understand. So I think they did a good job there. But the movie as a whole, it is what it is.
Now, is that just something that was just aggravating to you, or just something that you knew to yourself that it could possibly and potentially go this route, and it, like you said, just with Hollywood and everything?
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's, it's definitely aggravating, because the way they, some of the individuals that they portrayed, the actors, they didn't reach out to the individual that they were supposed to be portraying, and so didn't, had no idea who they were or, get that real individual. So, that aggravated me. And I know there had been some script changes and things like that after he was gone. So, it was aggravating. But I mean, we knew that from the get-go that there was going to be, there's always that with Hollywood. So, you just kind of grin and bear it.
Yeah. Now, did you grow up, you and your brother doing a lot of stuff together? I know you guys, go, or you're an avid hunter. I know that your brother was an avid hunter. And did you grow up doing stuff all, together?
Oh yeah, yeah. When we were, younger, of course, you always go through those stages of where you hate each other and then love each other and then, stuff like that. But, we were definitely, always out and about getting into, trouble together, I guess. We would actually get our friends over and we'd go hide out and ambush another kid from down the road. We'd call him up and have him come over, and then we'd all ambush him with BB guns and stuff like that. So, we were, I guess, a pretty rowdy group. But yeah, growing up, we did a lot of hunting together. We rodeoed together. We worked together on different places. So yeah, we were together quite often.
Now, when it comes time to now seeing, and I will go back and ask you, what happened after boot camp, but just on the topic, what is your thoughts on stuff that's going on, now? Because that's something I want to ask you, and have been wanting to ask you, just with everything on patriotism and people showing patriotism. You mentioned that you were raised correctly. Your brother was raised correctly to show patriotism and show support to, the men and women who, sacrifice and have served in the United States military even before you joined. What's your thoughts on, honestly, the kind of crap we're seeing in the country now? Because it's just a shame.
Well, yeah, it definitely is a shame. It's been years and years since we've seen stuff like that, and unfortunately, the last time that stuff came about to that extent was the Vietnam War, that I can remember. And, that's why I respected those guys so much, because, they went over and they did what they did, and they came home to a country that was completely against them and, did not support them in any way, and they were let down. And so, they pushed forward. They soldiered up and they went on and, they lived their life. Unfortunately, some of them did not. There's always going to be those, and there is in my area as well. But in my opinion, we owe it to the Vietnam guys, that era, because they changed the outlook of the nation. Whenever we went to war, my era, then the American people they remembered what went on during Vietnam, and they weren't going to let that happen. Well, that has slowly slipped away, and for the last 8 years, then the American public has been allowed to be idiots and to lose respect and forget that they forget the people that allow them to be the idiots that they are. And unfortunately, the last guy that sat up there in the White House, he allowed that to happen and never did anything about it. So in my opinion, it's him to blame, and by him I mean Obama. That was the worst showing of respect to this country that I can remember in my lifetime. But we cater to too many people, and we allow too many people to be to run amok, and it's ridiculous.
I couldn't agree more. And it's the kind of stuff that we learn in school, and it it gets under the topic of the difference between freedom of speech and then what hate speech is, and
Right.
then limiting someone and giving them the room to do negative and inflict harm on another who does not deserve it at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of stuff that I feel like we're seeing today. Allowing somebody to do something because they're going to just, throw a temper tantrum if you don't.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everybody has to be so politically correct and not hurt anybody's feelings. Well, I'm sorry, but that's life. You're not going to make everybody happy, and not everybody's going to like you. I don't care who likes me. if you don't like me, then that's fine. I can be a dumb redneck cracker. I really don't care. But, I do what I do, and I don't do it to make everybody happy. I do it because I care about my brothers and sisters, and I want to take care of them, whether they were in the military or they're our first responders. They're our line of defense in the country and out of the country. So those are the only ones that I care about.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Honestly, when my friends ask me, I'm 22 years old. I have no sense of, of course I'm aware of it, and
Right.
I watch the news. I'm a big Fox News watcher. But economic kind of stuff does not really draw my attention as much as what president is going to show support to the United States military and, like you said, the first responders. That's why I am a huge fan of Donald Trump. I was a big fan of another huge, I idolize is GW, George W. Bush. I'm a huge Bush supporter. My whole family as well. You as well, aren't you?
Oh, definitely. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. And that's the kind of stuff that I focus in on. I want to see who's going to support the men and women who are going over fighting for freedom. It's instead of someone who's going to allow, people who just want to scream and cry all the time, the ability to scream and cry all the time until they, you got to toughen up. It makes no sense.
I agree. There will never be a perfect president. GW he wasn't a perfect president. He was a perfect commander and leader. He was a good president for the military. He supported us 100%. So, I can't complain about that. And at that time, that's all I cared about. I didn't care about what happened outside the military because I was in the military during his entire term. So that's what I saw. That's what I lived. Now what I saw afterwards with Obama was a disgrace, whether it be the military or just the country as a whole. I know GW didn't do just phenomenal on every other aspect, which there's no way a president, one man, can, do everything perfect. It's not going to happen. It never has, and it never will. Trump's not going to be a perfect president, but he is what we need at this time, and he is going to be. He's already proven that he's doing good things, and I don't care if people want to bash him or not. I'll support him in public 100%. I think he's doing great things, and I think he's making some really good changes. Is he going to be perfect? Hell no.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And he is what we need, as a president right now, commander-in-chief. Now, this is a question I, usually ask to the guests, the prior guests I've had on the show. And do you feel that the president, as of right now, as far as tension building and what we're seeing going on, people who are bashing him and putting him in false light and saying all these negative comments, the same stuff they did to Bush, do you feel like they truly have no idea what's going on? Because I do. I feel like it's always the people who are never going to be put in a situation or a scenario on even a military topic, like you yourself have been already, they always have the most to say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. There's always going to be that one group that they're so out of touch with anything and everything, and their whole goal in life is just to stir the pot. And I mean, there's going to be they're going to be out there forever. They've always been there, and they always will be. Unfortunately, the way things have gone in the past few years, that they've been allowed to voice a little more. So that's why, in my opinion, that's why they're so vocal right now, is because they've been allowed to be that way. So, but yeah, I definitely think that they're so far out of touch that they don't have a clue what's going on, and they twist and they take little excerpts here and there and piece it together to make, like right now with Trump, they're always piecing things together to change his words on, on certain topics. So it's ridiculous, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like, the government should focus in on limiting some stuff, especially with putting, certain pieces of clips of media out.
Right.
One topic in particular, when Navy SEAL Ryan Owens passed away, and the media just had everything to say as to why Donald Trump wouldn't speak on it, and it's really none of their business. It's no one else's business but his and the families, of course.
That's right.
Now, I do need to ask you this: did you serve in the Middle East, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
What are your thoughts right now on tensions building with ISIS? These guys are horrible, disturbing, terrible people. And what are your thoughts on the Commander-in-Chief's recent actions to try and get rid of them altogether?
Well, I think it's great. It's been, unfortunately, it's been too long, but it has to happen. The only way to stop this is to cut the head off, and you're not going to be able to do what Obama did for so many years. It's just every so often do little strikes here and there. You're going to have guys on the ground. You're going to have to go in there and just complete and utter annihilation. That's the only way you're going to stop it. And I think what he's doing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he actually has the balls to do it.
Yeah. Now, these kind of fighters, they're spread all over, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that, like you said, boots on the ground, would that make it happen because you'd be able to, send people in different units to try to take out different areas?
Right.
And now, what's your stance on, everything we're seeing now with North Korea? This is just something that has been so drug out. And it's always the question is if he's going to do something. Now, do you think that there's going to be a potential threat, or do you think he's kind of just, he's a bluffer?
Well, and this is just my opinion. North Korea, that has always been run by complete freaking idiots. And in my opinion, are they capable of doing something crazy? Yes, by all means. But will they do it? I don't think so. I think when, because we have had the talks with them, and then now that China is basically telling them, don't do anything stupid. When you have two major powers telling you, I wouldn't do it, they're gonna try to play their bluff, but I don't think that they'll do anything.
So you don't think that we're gonna have to worry about, and it all goes back to the media. It all goes back to what the media puts on,
right,
and what they put out there to almost as if they're alarming people as, oh, this is what's going on and this is what you should be worried, about. And people fail to forget that, like you said before, there's, millions of first responders who, along with National Guard and everything else, who would be there in defense if anything was to ever happen. Right.
And like I said, it's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong, and I've been wrong before. But I honestly don't think that anything will happen with North Korea. I hope it doesn't, and I don't think that there will.
Well, Jeff, I have heard that opinion before. My father is a big believer in that same opinion as well, as am I. So, I couldn't agree more with your statement. Now, while serving in the military, is there anything, obviously I know that a lot of stuff is confidential and completely okay with if we're not able to speak about it, but were there ever any times where you were in a great form of danger where you didn't know if, you were going to make it, to be clear, make it back to the States, or?
Well, there was definitely a few times that, didn't know, but, there was never a time that that I didn't believe that my brothers that were with me were going to do everything in their power, or I was never going to stop. None of us were ever going to quit doing what we do until the lights were out. So there was definitely times that you're a little worried, but I guess when you're in that situation, it was kind of one of those things like, hold my beer and watch this. This is where it happened, so I'm ready for it. Let's do it.
It is always so awesome, literally, to talk to guys like yourself. You guys are the total badasses, 100%. I mean, it's just, it's always, it's me as a civilian. I love speaking to members in the military, any branch, and it just goes to show that you guys truly have something different inside of you that others don't have. That willingness to defend and the bravery. It is bravery. It's very heroic, and it's always such an honor.
Well, I appreciate that. For me, it's not. I don't look at it as that. We're badasses. We just. I think we all come to the understanding. We all knew when we joined that there was always a possibility. No matter when we joined, there was always a possibility. Of course, I joined before there was any kind of conflict, but we got into a conflict. Hey, I knew what I was getting into, and so let's go do it. And you accept that fate. You make terms, and then you go on about your day. And the only thing that's keeping you going is the guy to your left and right. Honestly, at that point, it's not about what's going on back home. It's not about who's back home. It's about the guy to your left and right. And you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that they make it home. So in turn, they're going to do the same thing. So that's where the brotherhood comes from. It's not. I know a lot of people when I have spoke about it before on up in front of everybody. I tell them I didn't fight for you. Initially, yes, I fought for you, but honestly, it was not for you. It was for the guy to the left and right. Those were the guys that I was fighting for. So, at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah. Wow. And that's amazing to hear. And it's just something of pure patriotism and the brotherhood. And like you guys say, there's no brotherhood that's like it. It's one of the greatest fraternities to be a part of.
Definitely.
Now tell me, what's going on in Texas? Yeah, I wish I was there. I love Texas. I've never been there, but my grandfather's from Texas. Yeah,
right.
I do love that state and need to make it out there. So what's going on in Texas, Jeff?
Oh man, there's all kinds of stuff. One thing that we're doing, my family, we've started a foundation called American Valor, and so through that, we're able to raise funds for other charities, for other nonprofits, whether it be veteran nonprofit or first responder, and do a lot of good for those. We always make sure that we're involved with ones that are 100% for the veterans or the first responders. Not meaning that 100% of the money goes back, but we try to keep it at least a 90-10. So at least 90% of all funds goes back to the vets or the first responders. So we help out those charities. We have a big fundraiser, a big benefit every year. Matter of fact, it's this coming weekend in Fort Worth at the Stockyards. It's called the Chris Kyle Memorial Benefit. And so every year through that, we pick one charity, whether it be veteran or first responder, and we raise money for them throughout the weekend. Generally, it starts around November with apparel sales, and then it goes to maybe the 1st of June or something like that as far as more apparel sales. But we have always have music and concerts and things like that, and we've been blessed that all of the headliners that come, and even the up and comers that have come, they're all donating their time, so we don't have to spend money to bring in these big name singers, and because these people they want to be involved and they want to give back, and so we've been blessed by that, and we've become very good friends with a lot of them, and they come back every year. Some of them don't come back to sing; they just come back to hang out and be a part of it, and so that's been great. And we've made a lot of good relationships with a lot of different foundations, and the way I guess our way of thinking is it's not, we're not the end all be all. We don't want somebody to be like, oh, I can only give to this foundation. That's not the way it needs to be. It needs to be a collaboration between every foundation out there. We team up with so many other foundations to help, because there's not a foundation out there that can do every aspect for every individual. So, if you need medical help, then we get you in touch with, that foundation. If you need physical fitness help, we get you in touch with that foundation. If you need monetary type stuff, there's so many different avenues that we can reach out to and that we have assets with. So, we just try to be, part of the team and try to do as much as we can and give back as much as we can.
Wow, and that is so amazing. I wish I was able to be there. If I didn't have finals coming up.
You got priorities, man.
Yeah, exactly. Graduation. So, yeah. But still, I'd much rather be in Texas. Yeah, that sounds like such a great time, and that's amazing that you do that, and it's great to hear. And it's just one of those things that just really kind of just hits you. I'm sure hits your heart. On with the caring and the compassionate feeling. Definitely.
People always ask me right after or shortly after Chris was killed. I tell everybody I was kind of voluntold to be the face and the voice of the family, and because I didn't want anybody else to do it. I didn't want some outsider being the voice for the family. So I stepped up and I did it. And everybody always asks me, how do you do it? How do you keep going and doing all this, especially in your brother's name without, losing your mind? Well, that's a slippery slope to begin with. But, I get help just like everybody else. But whenever I can help out another veteran or, a police officer's family or a firefighter or somebody like that, any time that I can help out one of those guys and see the smiles and see the tears of joy and just see them light up, then that right there, that's enough for me. The way, I guess one way I can put it is I'm able to serve my country and my brothers more now than what I could before. Because before it was just, I could help out my unit, my guys, and that was basically it. But now, my bandwidth has grown, and I can reach out to, so many more across the country, and then outside the military as well. So, that's kind of my healing. That's why we do what we do. Yeah.
Now, one last question: when that tragedy took place, your brother's death,
mm-hmm.
Did you get backing from the president or from former presidents, for example, George W. or anything like that? I don't want to get too personal, but,
He was, yes, President Bush was very, very supportive of the family. We did have contact with the Obama administration, but we declined any kind of help from them or any kind of assistance or any kind of just communication with them at all. We didn't want to have anything to do with them. But yes, the Bush family was very, very supportive of our family.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And as it should. Yeah. It's you and your brother both. American heroes, and it was such an honor to speak with you, hear your story, and hear what you have going on, hear what you're up to and what you're doing, and all the fantastic patriotic and military supporting activity that you're up to. It was such an honor, sir.
Well, Matt, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you're doing, and carrying on a torch for everybody, and voicing your opinion, and and I definitely appreciate the support that you're giving the military guys. It means a lot to know that there's still a few out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course. Well, Jeff, thank you so much, and this was such an honor and a blessing to have you on the show today. I do appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it, Matt, and thank you.
You take care, sir.
You too.
Thank you to Jeff Kyle for being on the show. And Jeff, I wish you all the best, and the entire Kyle family from Patriots Corner Podcast. I'm Matt Malachy, and thank you so much for listening. Take care.